Thank you for stepping into Wisdom Life, the soft-lit corner where gentle history lullabies carry you off the edge of sleep. Tonight we leave the traffic lights, the buzzing alerts, the midnight deadlines far behind. We slip into a pocket of time that beats only to the rhythm of wind and water, where dawn is announced by thrush and sparrow, and dusk slips away on the hush of bamboo sighing in the valley. This is a tale of a world that has vanished from maps yet still flickers, candle-like, in the quiet rooms of our mind. It is called Why You Wouldn't Last a Day in Feudal Japan. But hush, do not expect clashing blades, moonlit duels, or the clang of samurai armor. Tonight we do not hunt for thrills, we hunt for stillness. We will follow one unremarkable soul, someone much like you, much like me, who wakes beneath low mist in a hamlet folded between clouded hills and rice terraces that roll out like silk under a green tide. Before we set foot on that dew-dusted path, if your heart is willing, please touch the little heart below, tap subscribe to Wisdom Life if you have not yet. It is a small kindness, yet it keeps these hushed stories breathing for the next wanderer who needs them as dearly as you. And if you are listening from a distant shore, from a city whose name I cannot pronounce, or from a room that smells of unfamiliar spices, let me know. Drop a line telling me where you are and what hour your clock strikes right now. A simple sentence, yet somehow it stitches us together across all these miles, making the night feel shared instead of solitary. Wherever you are, whatever weight the day has left on your shoulders, let it slide off now. Dim the lamp, let your eyelids fall if they wish, and release every thought that has dogged you since sunrise. Let your shoulders sink. Let your breath grow long and slow. In a moment, you will open your eyes. Part 1, Dawn in the Village. As the first light begins to stretch across the sky, soft and quiet like a breath held too long, you find yourself waking up, not in your room, not in your time, but in another world entirely. A world without clocks or alarms, where mornings begin not with buzzing phones, but with the slow, gentle stirrings of nature itself. You are lying on a thin mat made of woven straw, placed directly on the cool wooden floor of a small home built from wood, paper, and time. The air is crisp, slightly damp from last night's rain, carrying the scent of earth and pine. Outside, the morning breeze rustles through the tall grass and gently nudges the paper doors that separate the inside from the outside world. There is no rush here. No one is waiting for you. There is only this moment, and the quiet unfolding of a new day. From somewhere nearby, a rooster crows, not loudly, not urgently, just a simple, familiar sound that has echoed through villages like this one for centuries. It is not meant to wake you with force, but to remind you that the sun is rising, and life is beginning again. You sit up slowly, feeling the weight of your own body, the warmth of the blanket still wrapped around your shoulders. You take a deep breath. The house is silent except for the occasional creak of the wooden beams settling into the morning. Somewhere beyond the walls, you hear the distant murmur of water, a stream winding its way through the village, its voice steady and calm, like an old friend who never leaves. You step outside barefoot, the coolness of the morning greeting your feet like a soft hand brushing against your skin. The world is waking up, but it does so slowly, as if it knows there is no need to hurry. The sky is painted in soft hues of lavender and gold, the colors blending together like ink dropped into water. A few stars still linger above, quietly watching as the earth turns once more toward the sun. In the distance, the silhouette of mountains rises gently against the horizon, their peaks softened by mist. This is feudal Japan, not the one filled with battles and legends, but the one lived by ordinary people, every single day. This is the life of Taro, a young farmer whose story we will follow today, not because he is famous, not because he changed history, but because his life, though simple, was full of meaning, rhythm, and peace. Taro lives in a small village nestled between rice fields and forested hills. His house is modest, built with care and patience, using materials found nearby, wood from the trees, clay for the walls, and thatch for the roof. Inside, there are no electric lights, no running water, no machines humming softly in the background. Just the essentials, a low table, a cooking hearth, a few tools, and a space for rest. His life moves with the seasons, shaped by the rhythm of the sun and the needs of the land. There are no deadlines, no emails, no traffic noise. There is only the work of the day, done with care, and the knowledge that tomorrow will come when it is ready. Right now, Taro is also stepping outside, stretching his arms toward the sky, yawning deeply. He breathes in the same cool morning air that fills your lungs. He looks up at the sky, just like you might, and feels the quiet joy of being alive in this place, at this time. He walks barefoot across the wooden porch, then down the small steps leading to the yard. A bucket rests near the well, half filled with fresh water drawn the evening before. He lifts it carefully and pours some into a basin carved from stone. With a small cloth, he washes his face, letting the cold water wake him fully. His hands feel rough from years of working the land, but they are strong, steady, and kind. He wipes his face dry with a piece of cloth that smells faintly of cedar smoke and morning dew. From inside the house, he hears the soft sounds of movement, his mother stirring awake, lighting the fire, preparing breakfast. Rice is already steaming in a pot over the hearth, filling the air with a warm, comforting aroma. Taro walks around the house, checking on the garden. Rows of vegetables grow neatly under the watchful eye of the early sun. He bends down to touch the leaves of a newly planted cabbage, feeling the texture between his fingers. The soil is soft, rich with nutrients, and slightly damp. Nearby, a few chickens scratch at the ground, clucking softly to themselves. One of them pecks at a fallen leaf, while another stretches its wings and lets out a sleepy crow. A goat tied to a post watches him pass with calm eyes, chewing slowly on a bundle of hay. Life here is simple, but not empty. It is full of details, the way the wind carries the scent of wildflowers, the way sunlight dances on the surface of a puddle, the way each morning brings with it the promise of something quiet and beautiful. Taro returns to the house, stepping onto the porch just as his mother opens the sliding door. She smiles at him, a smile that says everything without needing words. She holds out a bowl of hot miso soup, freshly made, with pieces of tofu and seaweed floating gently in the broth. They sit together on the edge of the porch, eating slowly, savoring each bite. There is no rush. There is no pressure. There is only the present moment, and the peaceful act of sharing food with someone you love. Around them, the village begins to stir. Smoke rises from other rooftops. Dogs bark lazily in the distance. Children's laughter echoes through the narrow paths between houses. A man calls out to his neighbor, asking about the weather for the day ahead. Taro finishes his meal, sets the bowl aside, and takes a moment to simply look around. He sees the beauty in the ordinary, in the way the light catches on the leaves, in the sound of the wind moving through the trees, in the warmth of the morning sun resting gently on his skin. He stands up, stretches once more, and prepares for the day ahead. Today, like every day, he will work in the fields, side by side with his father and a few neighbors. They will till the soil, plant new crops, and talk about small things, the weather, the harvest, the health of the animals. But for now, there is still a quietness in the air, a hush that makes everything feel sacred. The morning belongs to stillness, to reflection, to the slow unfolding of thoughts that don't demand anything from you. And as you listen to this story, perhaps you can feel that same stillness settling into your own mind. Perhaps you can imagine yourself standing beside Taro, breathing the same clean morning air, listening to the same birdsong, feeling the same gentle warmth of the sun on your back. Because tonight, you are not just hearing a story, you are living it. And as the day unfolds, you will find yourself walking alongside Taro, experiencing the rhythm of his world, one quiet moment at a time. Let yourself relax even more now. Let your body sink deeper into comfort. Let your thoughts drift, like clouds passing through the sky. We'll stay here for a little longer. In this peaceful morning. In this forgotten time. Where nothing is urgent, and everything feels just as it should. The sun climbs higher now, its golden light stretching across the fields, turning the dew-covered grass into a sea of tiny sparkles. The world feels wide awake, but not in a hurried way, more like it's stretching its arms after a long rest, yawning softly before settling into the rhythm of the day. Taro walks barefoot through the yard one last time before heading out to the fields. His straw hat rests lightly on his head, shielding him from the gentle warmth of the morning sun. He carries a wooden bucket filled with water drawn fresh from the well, and as he moves, the scent of earth and greenery fills his lungs. The path leading to the rice paddies is narrow and worn smooth by years of footsteps. It winds between small wooden fences, past rows of neatly planted vegetables, and under the shade of low-hanging branches. A few butterflies flutter above the wildflowers growing along the edge, their wings catching the sunlight like pieces of drifting silk. As he walks, Taro passes by a neighbor's house. Smoke curls lazily from the chimney, and the sound of someone chopping wood echoes from behind the paper walls. A small child sits outside, playing with a wooden toy that looks like a miniature cart. She waves at Taro with a quiet smile, and he returns the gesture without breaking his pace. There is no need for words here. Everyone knows each other. Everyone understands the unspoken rhythm of life in this village, where greetings are often silent nods, and kindness comes in small, unnoticed gestures. Further down the path, another farmer joins him, an older man named Haru, whose face is withered by years of working under the open sky. He greets Taro with a simple good morning, and together they continue walking toward the fields, their steps falling into the same quiet rhythm. The rice paddies stretch out before them like a patchwork of green and gold. The water lies still in the shallow plots, reflecting the sky in soft ripples. In some areas, farmers are already knee-deep in the mud, carefully planting young rice shoots in straight lines. Their movements are slow and deliberate, each step taken with care. Taro removes his straw sandals and steps into the cool water, feeling the softness of the mud between his toes. He takes a bundle of rice seedlings from a nearby basket and begins to work, placing each plant gently into the soil, spacing them evenly apart. His hands move with practiced ease, guided by muscle memory built over many seasons. Beside him, Haru works in silence, occasionally pausing to wipe sweat from his brow or adjust the cloth wrapped around his forehead. The only sounds are the rustling of leaves in the breeze, the distant call of a bird, and the occasional splash of water as someone shifts their footing. There is something deeply grounding about this kind of labor, the way your body moves in harmony with the land, the way your thoughts settle into the rhythm of your hands. There are no distractions here, no screens, no voices pulling you in different directions. Just the steady, patient act of planting something that will grow in time. Taro glances up at the sky. The sun has risen higher now, casting long shadows across the field. The air is warmer, carrying the scent of damp earth and fresh greenery. Somewhere beyond the hills, a bell rings softly, the signal from the village temple marking the passing of another hour. Time moves differently here. Not in minutes or schedules, but in moments, the moment when the first rice plant is placed in the ground, the moment when a butterfly lands on a leaf, the moment when a warm breeze brushes against your skin and reminds you that you are alive. Taro continues working, his mind drifting between thoughts like clouds in the sky. He thinks about the harvest to come, about the meals that will be made from this season's crop, about the quiet joy of sharing food with family and friends. He thinks about nothing at all. And both kinds of thoughts feel equally important. Around him, the field slowly fills with life. More farmers arrive, greeting each other with nods and smiles. Children bring baskets of food and water for their parents, then sit quietly under the shade of a tree, watching the adults work. A dog follows one of the men, tail wagging, eyes curious. There is no rush, no pressure to finish quickly. The work will take as long as it needs to. The sun will rise and fall, and tomorrow will come when it is ready. Taro pauses for a moment, straightening his back and looking out across the field. He sees the reflection of the sky and the water, the green of the rice plants swaying slightly in the breeze, the distant silhouette of the mountains standing guard over the land. It is a simple scene. No drama. No conflict. No urgency. And yet, there is something profoundly beautiful about it. Perhaps it's the slowness of it all, how everything unfolds at its own pace, how every action has meaning, how every breath feels like part of something much larger than oneself. Or maybe it's the connection between people, between nature, between past and present. Because even though centuries have passed since days like this were lived, something about them still feels familiar. Still feels comforting. As you listen to this story, perhaps you can imagine yourself standing beside Taro, feeling the same warmth of the sun on your skin, hearing the same gentle sounds of the field, breathing in the same clean, earthy air. Maybe you can feel your own thoughts slowing down, just a little. Maybe you can feel your body relaxing, letting go of the tension that came with the day you've had. Because tonight, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to think, to plan, to worry. You simply need to be here, in this quiet moment, in this peaceful place, in this imagined world where time moves slowly and everything feels okay. Let your mind drift a little further now. Let yourself sink deeper into comfort. Let your eyelids grow heavier, if they haven't already. We're still here, in the middle of this calm and gentle morning. In the middle of a life that feels far away, yet strangely close to home. And as we continue, you'll find yourself walking alongside Taro a little longer, experiencing the rhythm of his world, one quiet step at a time. One breath at a time. One moment at a time. Until, perhaps, sleep finds you, too. Part 2, Working in the Fields. The morning continues to unfold like a quiet melody, each moment blending gently into the next. The sun has risen higher now, casting a warm golden glow across the fields, but there is no harshness in its light, only a soft embrace that reminds you of the earth's steady rhythm. Taro is still working in the rice paddies, his hands moving with a kind of grace that only comes from years of practice. Each seedling he plants feels like a small promise, a promise that, with time and care, it will grow tall and strong, feeding not just his family, but the entire village. Around him, the field hums with life, though not in a loud or urgent way. There are voices here, yes, quiet conversations between farmers, the occasional laughter of a child chasing a butterfly, the rhythmic sound of water being scooped from one plot to another. But everything moves at the same slow, patient pace as the wind through the trees. There is no rush today. There is no place to be but here. No time but now. From somewhere nearby, a bell rings again, softer this time, like a lullaby carried on the breeze. It marks the passing of another hour, though no one checks their watch or hurries to finish anything. Time in this world doesn't demand urgency. It simply flows, like the river winding its way through the valley. Taro pauses for a moment, straightening his back and wiping sweat from his brow with the cloth wrapped around his forearm. He looks out across the field, watching how the sunlight dances on the surface of the water, how the rice plants sway slightly with the movement of the air, how the sky stretches endlessly above, painted in soft shades of blue and white. It's peaceful here. Not perfect, nothing ever is, but deeply, profoundly peaceful. He takes a deep breath, letting the scent of wet earth and greenery fill his lungs. It smells like home. Like childhood. Like the memory of something familiar, even if you can't quite put your finger on what. Nearby, Haru, the older farmer who joined him earlier, sets down his bundle of seedlings and reaches for a small wooden canteen tied to his belt. He takes a slow sip of water, then offers it to Taro with a simple nod. Taro accepts it gratefully, lifting the canteen to his lips and letting the cool water slide down his throat. It's clean and fresh, drawn from a spring high up in the hills. It tastes like patience, like effort, like the quiet joy of knowing where your food and drink come from. As he drinks, he watches a few birds circling overhead, their wings catching the sunlight before they disappear behind a cloud. He thinks about how free they must feel, how unburdened by schedules and expectations. And yet, even they live by the rhythm of the seasons, returning to the same places year after year. Maybe that's what makes life beautiful, not the freedom to go anywhere, anytime, but the comfort of knowing where you belong. Taro finishes his drink, returns the canteen to Haru with a quiet thank you, and picks up another bundle of rice shoots. His hands move once more, placing each plant carefully into the soil, spacing them evenly apart. Beside him, Haru resumes his work too, humming softly under his breath, a tune that sounds old, familiar, like something passed down through generations. It's not a song meant to entertain, but one meant to soothe, to keep rhythm, to remind you that you're not alone. And as you listen to this story, maybe you can hear that same tune in the background, faint, almost imperceptible, like a whisper carried on the wind. Maybe you can feel yourself slowing down, too. Letting go of the thoughts that pulled at your mind all day. Letting your body sink deeper into relaxation. Because tonight, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to think, to plan, to worry. You simply need to be here, in this quiet moment, in this imagined world where time moves slowly and everything feels okay. The work in the fields continues, unhurried and steady. Some of the younger children bring baskets filled with small snacks, pieces of steamed rice wrapped in seaweed, slices of pickled vegetables, dried fish seasoned with salt and spice. They pass them out with shy smiles, then sit quietly beneath the shade of a tree, watching the adults with wide eyes. Taro takes a break and sits on the edge of the field, unwrapping his own meal. He eats slowly, savoring each bite, chewing thoughtfully as he watches the world around him. A butterfly lands briefly on the edge of his straw hat before fluttering away. A frog hops across the muddy path, disappearing into the grass. There is no music here, no screens, no distractions. Just the quiet symphony of nature, the rustling leaves, the chirping insects, the distant call of a bird echoing through the hills. And somehow, it feels like enough. Because when you live close to the earth, you begin to understand its language, how the wind speaks through the trees, how the rain sings against the roof, how the silence between two heartbeats holds more meaning than any spoken word. Taro finishes his meal, folds the paper wrapper neatly, and tucks it into his bag. He stands up, stretches his arms toward the sky, and looks out once more over the field. The sun is beginning to shift now, moving slowly toward the west, but there is still time before the day ends. There is still work to do, but not in a way that feels heavy or rushed. Just enough to give the body purpose, to give the mind space to wander. He steps back into the mud, feeling the coolness between his toes, and continues planting. His hands know what to do. His body knows the rhythm. And his mind? His mind is quiet. And as you listen to this story, perhaps your mind is growing quieter too. Perhaps your thoughts are slowing down, becoming lighter, like clouds drifting lazily across the sky. Perhaps your eyelids are beginning to feel heavier, your breathing slower, your body sinking deeper into the comfort of your bed or couch. Because this is the kind of story that doesn't try to wake you up, it tries to guide you gently toward sleep, toward peace, toward stillness. So let yourself stay here a little longer. In this quiet field. In this imagined world. Where nothing is urgent, and everything feels just as it should. We'll continue walking alongside Taro soon, but for now, let your breath slow. Let your body relax. Let your thoughts drift. And if sleep finds you before we reach the end of this part, that's perfectly okay. Because the story will still be here tomorrow. And so will we. The sun continues its slow descent, casting a golden warmth across the field that feels like a gentle hand resting on your shoulders, not heavy, not urgent, just there. The light is softer now, longer shadows stretching across the rice paddies, making the world feel even more quiet than before. Taro is still working, his hands moving with steady patience, placing each rice shoot into the soft mud as if tucking it into bed for the night. His movements are smooth, practiced, a rhythm built over years of labor and care. There's no rush here, only the quiet satisfaction of doing something meaningful, one step at a time. Nearby, Haru finishes planting in his section and leans back, resting his hands on his knees. He lets out a small sigh, not tired, just present. He looks up at the sky for a moment, then turns to Taro with a faint smile. "It's a good day," he says simply. Taro nods, wiping sweat from his brow with the sleeve of his shirt. "Yes. A good day." There's no need for long conversations here. In a place like this, where life moves slowly and meaning is found in small things, words don't always need to be many. Sometimes, just a few are enough. A breeze drifts through the field, carrying with it the scent of wet earth, green leaves, and something else, something faintly sweet, like blooming flowers hidden somewhere in the forest beyond the hills. It brushes against Taro's skin, lifting the heat from his face and replacing it with a coolness that makes him close his eyes for a moment, just to feel it fully. He breathes in deeply. Then exhales slowly. And for a brief second, everything feels peaceful. Around them, the other farmers are also slowing down, taking short breaks, drinking water, stretching their legs. Some sit together on the edge of the field, sharing quiet stories or watching the children who have started playing nearby. One boy is trying to balance on a wooden beam laid across a small stream, arms stretched wide for balance. Another girl watches him with quiet amusement, occasionally giggling when he wobbles. Life here doesn't demand perfection. It asks only for presence. To be here, now. To do what needs to be done, gently and with care. To find joy in the simple act of living. Taro finishes another row and steps back, looking at his work. The rice plants stand in neat lines, delicate yet full of promise. They will grow, slowly but surely, nourished by the sun, the rain, and the careful hands that planted them. He smiles softly, not a big grin, not an exaggerated expression, just a quiet, contented smile that spreads across his face like ripples on a pond. He knows this land well. He knows the seasons, the winds, the way the soil changes with the weather. He knows when to plant, when to wait, when to rest. And most importantly, he knows how to listen, to the earth, to the sky, to the silence between sounds. It's a kind of wisdom that can't be taught in books. It's learned through years of being present, of paying attention to the world around you, of understanding that everything has its own time and place. Taro walks over to the edge of the field, where a small wooden bucket rests beside a larger barrel filled with fresh water drawn from a nearby spring. He dips his hands into the bucket, splashing some onto his face, letting the coolness wake him just a little more. Water drips from his chin, disappearing into the dirt below. He lifts his hat and runs a hand through his damp hair, then puts it back on, adjusting it slightly so it shades his eyes just right. From this spot, he can see the entire village spread out before him, rows of wooden houses with paper walls and thatched roofs, smoke curling lazily from chimneys, paths worn smooth by generations of footsteps. Children run between the houses, chasing each other in circles. Dogs bark playfully. A woman sweeps the front porch of her home, humming softly under her breath. It's a world that moves quietly, without urgency. A world that feels safe. And as you listen to this story, perhaps you can feel that same sense of safety settling into your mind. Perhaps you can feel your thoughts slowing down, becoming lighter, like leaves drifting gently toward the ground. Because tonight, you're not rushing anywhere. Tonight, you're simply being. Taro picks up his tools and begins walking back toward the center of the field, where the others are gathering to share a small snack before continuing their work. A few women from the village have arrived, bringing baskets filled with warm rice balls, pickled vegetables, and steaming cups of tea brewed from leaves grown in the mountains. They pass the food around with quiet smiles, and soon the field is filled with soft sounds again, the rustle of cloth as people unwrap their meals, the occasional clink of wooden bowls, the low murmur of conversation carried on the wind. Taro sits down beside Haru, unwrapping his own rice ball and taking a slow bite. The flavor is simple, just salt and rice, but somehow, it tastes like comfort. Like home. Like something familiar, even if you've never been here before. He chews thoughtfully, watching the sky change color above him. The sun is lower now, its light turning the clouds into soft shades of pink and orange. A few birds fly overhead, their wings catching the last rays of daylight before they disappear behind the trees. He takes another bite. Then another. And with each one, he feels a little more grounded, a little more at peace. This is what life feels like here, not exciting, not dramatic, not filled with sudden twists and turns. Just steady. Just quiet. Just enough. And maybe that's all any of us truly need, a moment to breathe, to eat, to rest, to know that we are exactly where we should be. As you listen to this story, perhaps you can feel yourself breathing slower now. Perhaps your body is sinking deeper into relaxation, your eyelids growing heavier, your thoughts drifting like clouds across the sky. Because this is the kind of story that doesn't try to keep you awake. It tries to guide you gently toward sleep, toward peace, toward stillness. So let yourself stay here a little longer. In this quiet field. In this imagined world. Where nothing is urgent and everything feels just as it should. We'll continue walking alongside Taro soon, but for now, let your breath slow. Let your body relax. Let your thoughts drift. And if sleep finds you before we reach the end of this part, that's perfectly okay. Because the story will still be here tomorrow. And so will we. Part 3, Midday Rest and the Leisurely Afternoon. The sun continues its slow descent, casting long shadows across the rice fields that stretch like quiet thoughts across a calm mind. The air has cooled slightly now, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and distant pine trees, as if nature itself is preparing for the evening to come. Taro finishes his meal and folds the paper wrapper neatly before tucking it into his bag. He stands up slowly, stretching his arms toward the sky, feeling the gentle ache in his muscles from hours of work under the open sun. His hands are still coated in a thin layer of mud, not dirty, just familiar, a quiet reminder of what he's been doing all day. Around him, the other farmers are beginning to pack up their tools, wiping sweat from their brows, rolling up sleeves that have long since absorbed the warmth of the afternoon. Some exchange quiet words, others simply nod in acknowledgement before heading back toward the village, their steps unhurried, their movements relaxed. There is no rush here. There never is. Taro picks up his wooden bucket and walks slowly toward the edge of the field, where the path home begins. His straw sandals sink slightly into the soft ground, leaving behind faint imprints that will be gone by morning. A few birds call out from the trees beyond the hills, their voices blending with the rustling leaves in a soft symphony of wind and life. As he walks, the world around him feels like it's settling into something deeper, quieter, slower, more peaceful. The golden light of the late afternoon wraps around everything like a warm blanket, turning even the simplest things into something beautiful. The way sunlight catches on a puddle. The way a single leaf drifts lazily through the air. The way time itself seems to pause, just for a moment. He passes by the small wooden bridge that crosses over the stream near the edge of the village. Water flows gently beneath it, catching the last rays of sunlight and reflecting them upward like scattered pieces of glass. A few frogs hop along the bank, disappearing into the tall grass with soft splashes. Taro pauses for a moment, watching the water move. There's something deeply calming about it, how it never stops flowing, yet never seems in a hurry. It reminds him that some things in life are meant to take their time. That growth doesn't happen overnight. That rest is just as important as work. He dips his hands into the stream, letting the cool water wash away the last traces of dirt and sweat from the day. It feels good against his skin, refreshing, grounding. He closes his eyes for a moment, listening to the sound of the current, letting it fill the space between his thoughts. Then, with a deep breath, he continues walking. The village comes into view ahead, a collection of wooden houses with paper walls and thatched roofs, smoke curling lazily from chimneys, the scent of cooking rice drifting through the air. Children run barefoot through the narrow paths between homes, chasing each other in circles while dogs bark playfully at their heels. It's a world that moves quietly, without urgency. A world that feels safe. Taro walks past a small garden where an elderly woman tends to her vegetables, gently watering the plants with a wooden ladle. She looks up and smiles at him, her face lined with years of laughter and labor, but her eyes full of warmth. He returns the smile with a simple nod before continuing down the path. His house is just ahead now, a modest structure built from wood and clay, with a low roof that curves slightly at the edges. The sliding paper doors are closed, but he can see the soft glow of lantern light inside, signaling that someone is already home. As he steps onto the wooden porch, he removes his straw sandals and sets them neatly beside the door before sliding it open. Inside, the air is warm, filled with the comforting aroma of steamed rice and miso soup simmering gently on the hearth. His mother sits near the fire, stirring the broth with a wooden spoon. She looks up when he enters, her expression softening into a smile. "You're back," she says simply. Taro nods, stepping inside and closing the door behind him. "Yes. It was a good day." She gestures toward a cushion on the floor, indicating that dinner is almost ready. He sits down, exhaling slowly as he allows himself to finally relax. The fatigue in his body feels different now, not heavy, not burdensome, but satisfying. Like the kind of tired that comes after a day well spent. His younger sister appears from another room, holding a tray with 2 small bowls of rice and a plate of pickled vegetables. She places them carefully on the low table before sitting beside him, her legs tucked beneath her. They eat together in silence for a while, the only sounds being the occasional clink of chopsticks against ceramic bowls and the soft bubbling of the soup. The food is simple, nothing extravagant, but somehow, it tastes like comfort. Like home. Outside, the sky is darkening now, the last remnants of daylight fading into a deep blue. A few stars begin to appear, blinking into existence one by one, like tiny lights waking up in the distance. Taro finishes his meal and leans back slightly, resting his hands on his lap. He watches the flames dance in the hearth, mesmerized by their movement, by the way they cast soft shadows across the walls. There is no television here. No glowing screens. No distractions. Just the quiet hum of life unfolding in its own time. And somehow, it feels like enough. Because when you live close to the earth, you begin to understand its rhythm, how the day naturally gives way to night, how the body knows when it's time to rest, how peace often arrives not in grand moments, but in the small, unnoticed ones. Taro listens to the sound of the wind outside, brushing gently against the paper walls of the house. He hears the distant call of a bird, the rustling of leaves, the occasional chirp of a cricket hidden somewhere in the grass. And as you listen to this story, perhaps you can hear those same sounds too. Perhaps your body is relaxing, sinking deeper into comfort. Perhaps your eyelids are growing heavier, you're breathing slower. Because tonight, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to think, to plan, to worry. You simply need to be here, in this quiet moment, in this imagined world, where time moves slowly and everything feels just as it should. Let yourself stay here a little longer. In this peaceful evening. In this forgotten time. Where nothing is urgent and everything feels okay. We'll continue walking alongside Taro soon. But for now, let your breath slow. Let your body relax. Let your thoughts drift. And if sleep finds you before we reach the end of this part, that's perfectly okay. Because the story will still be here tomorrow. And so will we. Taro sits by the hearth a little longer, watching the fire flicker and dance in the dim light of the room. The flames cast soft shadows on the wooden walls, making them seem almost alive, gently stretching and shrinking as if they too are breathing with the rhythm of the night. His mother stands up slowly, gathering the empty bowls and carrying them to the back of the house where water is kept in a large clay pot. She pours some into a basin and begins washing the dishes with quiet care, her movements smooth and practiced, like someone who has done this for most of her life. Taro watches her for a moment before standing up himself. He steps outside onto the porch, letting the cool evening air wrap around him like a gentle embrace. The sky above is now fully dark, scattered with stars that shine quietly, not demanding attention, just existing, steady, constant, peaceful. From somewhere nearby, he hears the distant sound of a flute. It's not loud, not showy, just a simple melody carried softly on the wind. Someone must be playing near the temple or perhaps in one of the homes down the path. The notes rise and fall like waves, slow and soothing, as if the music itself is trying to guide the day gently into sleep. Taro takes a deep breath, feeling the coolness settle into his lungs. There's no rush here, no pressure. Just the quiet understanding that the day is ending, and tomorrow will come when it's ready. He walks barefoot across the wooden porch and steps down into the yard, where the grass is already damp from the evening air. A few fireflies float through the space between trees, their tiny lights blinking on and off like stars that have found their way down to earth. He follows them for a short distance, walking slowly, listening to the sounds of the night. Somewhere behind him, his sister laughs softly, probably playing a game with a friend or folding clothes near the door. A dog barks once, then settles back into silence. The wind moves through the trees, rustling leaves in a hushed whisper. It's the kind of night where everything feels still, even though nothing truly is. Because even in silence, there is movement. Even in darkness, there is light. Even in rest, there is life. Taro reaches the edge of the garden, where rows of vegetables grow quietly beneath the moonlight. He kneels beside one of the plants, running his fingers lightly over the leaves. They feel cool and slightly damp. He checks the soil, pressing his hand gently into it, still soft, still rich with moisture from the morning rain. He smiles faintly. Good. Everything is growing as it should. Standing up again, he turns back toward the house. His mother has finished cleaning and is now sitting on the porch, looking out at the same sky he was admiring earlier. She sees him approaching and pats the space beside her. He walks over and sits down without a word, simply leaning back against the wooden pillar beside her. They don't need to talk much tonight. Sometimes, being together is enough. Sometimes, just sharing the same quiet moment can say more than any words ever could. She hands him a small cup of warm tea, brewed from dried leaves grown in the mountains, with a scent that carries hints of mint and citrus. He takes it carefully, bringing it to his lips and sipping slowly. The warmth spreads through his chest, settling into his bones like a familiar comfort. They sit like this for a while, just two people, side by side, watching the night unfold around them. Above, the stars continue to blink quietly, and the moon moves slowly across the sky, marking time in a way that doesn't feel urgent. There is something deeply grounding about moments like these, the kind of moments that remind you that you belong to something bigger than yourself. That you are part of a rhythm that has existed long before you, and will continue long after. Taro finishes his tea and sets the cup aside. He stretches his arms, yawning slightly, feeling the weight of the day finally catching up with him. His body is tired, but in a good way, the kind of tired that comes from honest work and meaningful rest. His mother looks at him and smiles. "Time to sleep," she says softly. He nods, standing up and stepping inside the house once more. The lanterns are still lit, casting a warm glow over the wooden floor. He moves quietly to the corner where his sleeping mat is spread out, lowering himself onto it with a sigh of contentment. The blanket is already pulled over the mat, waiting for him. He slips underneath it, feeling the softness of the fabric against his skin. The floor beneath him is cool, but the blanket is warm, and soon, so is he. Outside, the wind continues to move gently through the trees. Inside, the only sound is the occasional crackle of the dying fire. Taro closes his eyes. He listens to his own breath, in, out, in, out. And as he does, he lets go of the day, of the thoughts that lingered in his mind, of the small worries that had no place here. He lets go, and allows himself to simply be. And as you listen to this story, perhaps you can feel yourself doing the same. Perhaps your breath is slowing down, matching the quiet rhythm of the night. Perhaps your body is sinking deeper into relaxation, your eyelids growing heavier with each passing moment. Because tonight, you're not rushing anywhere. Tonight, you're simply being. Let yourself stay here a little longer. In this quiet home. In this imagined world. Where nothing is urgent and everything feels just as it should. We'll continue walking alongside Taro soon, but for now, let your breath slow, let your body relax, let your thoughts drift. And if sleep finds you before we reach the end of this part, that's perfectly okay. Because the story will still be here tomorrow. And so will we. Part 4, Evening and the Little Rituals. Taro lies beneath the blanket, his body sinking into the softness of the straw mat beneath him. The warmth of the tea still lingers in his chest, like a quiet fire burning low. His breath comes slow and steady, matching the rhythm of the night that stretches gently around him. Outside, the wind continues to move through the trees, whispering stories only the earth can understand. A few leaves brush lightly against the paper walls of the house, tapping softly as if asking for permission to enter. Inside, the lanterns burn with a soft glow, casting long shadows that sway slightly with every flicker of flame. His mother remains on the porch for a while longer, enjoying the cool air and the quiet beauty of the evening sky. She watches the stars blink quietly above, listening to the occasional chirp of a cricket hidden somewhere in the grass. There is no rush here. No need to hurry towards sleep or tomorrow. Just this moment, this peaceful, unhurried moment, and the gentle understanding that everything is exactly as it should be. Inside, Taro closes his eyes, letting his thoughts drift like clouds across a summer sky. He doesn't chase them, doesn't try to hold onto them. He simply watches them pass by, one after another, until they begin to blur together into something softer, something slower. He remembers the morning, the way the sun stretched its golden fingers across the fields, the sound of the rooster calling the village awake, the smell of miso soup simmering over the hearth. He remembers stepping outside barefoot, feeling the cool morning air kiss his skin, the way the world felt fresh and full of possibility. He remembers the rice paddies, the feel of water wrapping around his ankles, the mud between his toes, the careful way he placed each seedling into the soil. He remembers Haru working beside him, humming softly under his breath, and the way the children brought food to the field with shy smiles and quiet laughter. He remembers the midday sun warming his back, the taste of rice wrapped in seaweed, the way the breeze carried the scent of wildflowers through the air. He remembers sitting beneath the shade of a tree, watching birds circle overhead, feeling the weight of his own body relax into the ground beneath him. And now, lying here in the quiet hush of the evening, all of those memories feel like distant echoes, soft, familiar, comforting. They don't pull at him, don't demand anything from him. They just exist, like the stars above, like the moon slowly making its way across the sky. His eyelids grow heavier. His breathing slows even more. His body feels warm, safe, grounded. There is no need for excitement tonight. No need for urgency or movement. There is only this simple act of lying down, closing your eyes, and allowing yourself to rest. And as you listen to this story, perhaps you are beginning to feel the same thing. Perhaps your own thoughts are slowing down, becoming lighter, drifting away like leaves caught in a gentle current. Perhaps your body is sinking deeper into comfort, your muscles relaxing one by one, your mind settling into the quiet rhythm of the night. Because tonight, you don't have to do anything. Tonight, you simply have to be. Taro shifts slightly beneath the blanket, adjusting his position just enough to find the perfect spot where his head rests comfortably on the pillow. He lets out a soft sigh, a quiet sound of contentment, and allows himself to sink even further into relaxation. From outside, he can hear the faint call of an owl, its voice soft and distant, echoing through the hills. It's not loud, not urgent, just a simple reminder that life continues even in the deepest hours of the night. Somewhere nearby, a frog croaks once, then falls silent again, leaving behind only the steady hum of the crickets. The night is deepening now, moving slowly but surely towards sleep. The kind of sleep that comes not suddenly, but gently, like a wave rolling up the shore, covering everything in a soft layer of calm. Taro listens to the sounds around him, letting them wrap around his mind like a warm embrace. He listens to the creak of the wooden beams settling into place, to the occasional rustle of fabric as his mother moves inside, to the distant murmur of voices from other homes in the village. It's a world that feels far away, yet strangely close to home. A world that feels safe. And maybe that's what makes this kind of night so special, not the absence of noise, not the silence itself, but the presence of something deeper. Something quiet. Something whole. Taro exhales slowly, letting go of the last traces of the day. He doesn't think about tomorrow, doesn't worry about what needs to be done when the sun rises again. He simply allows himself to rest, to let go, to be present in the moment. Because sometimes, that's all we truly need, to stop trying, to stop thinking, to stop chasing. To simply lie down, close our eyes, and trust that the world will keep turning without us for a little while. And as you listen to this story, perhaps you are beginning to feel that same sense of peace settling into your mind. Perhaps your thoughts are becoming quieter, your body more relaxed, your breathing slower and deeper. Because this is the kind of story that doesn't try to wake you up, it tries to guide you gently toward sleep, toward stillness, toward rest. Let yourself stay here a little longer. In this quiet home. In this imagined world. Where nothing is urgent, and everything feels just as it should. We'll continue walking alongside Taro soon, but for now, let your breath slow. Let your body relax. Let your thoughts drift. And if sleep finds you before we reach the end of this part, that's perfectly okay. Because the story will still be here tomorrow. And so will we. The quiet continues to settle into every corner of the house like a soft blanket being gently pulled over the world. Outside, the night deepens, stretching its long fingers across the sky, covering everything in a hush that feels both ancient and intimate. The stars shine with a quiet brightness, not demanding attention, only offering their presence like old friends who never leave. Inside, Taro lies still beneath the warm blanket, his breath now slow and steady, each inhale and exhale carrying him further into the gentle embrace of sleep. His body has let go of the day's weight, his muscles no longer tense, his mind drifting softly between waking and rest. His mother steps inside from the porch, sliding the paper door shut behind her. She moves quietly across the wooden floor, careful not to disturb the peace that has settled into the space around them. She kneels beside the hearth and adjusts the flame on the lantern, lowering it just enough to cast a softer glow without plunging the room into darkness. She looks toward Taro for a moment, watching the rise and fall of his chest beneath the blanket. A small smile touches her lips, faint, warm, full of understanding. She knows this kind of night well, the kind where the body finds its own rhythm, where the mind begins to loosen its grip on thoughts, where sleep arrives not suddenly, but slowly, like a tide rolling in beneath the moonlight. She walks quietly to her own sleeping mat, lying down with a soft sigh of contentment. The floor is cool beneath her, but the blanket is warm, wrapping around her like an old memory. She closes her eyes, letting the quiet hum of the night wrap around her as well. And outside, the wind continues its gentle movement through the trees, brushing against leaves, rustling branches, whispering secrets only nature can understand. Somewhere in the distance, a frog croaks once, then falls silent again, leaving behind only the soft hum of crickets calling to one another in the grass. It is the kind of night where even silence feels alive, not empty, not lonely, but full of something deeper. Something calm. Something whole. Taro's mind drifts further now, slipping between memories like pages turning in a book that has no beginning and no end. He sees flashes of the day passing by, his bare feet touching the cool morning ground, the way the sun stretched across the rice paddies, the laughter of children playing near the stream, the quiet companionship of Haru working beside him. He remembers the scent of freshly steamed rice, the taste of pickled vegetables, the warmth of tea resting in his hands. He remembers the way the breeze felt against his skin, how the sky changed color throughout the day, how time seemed to move differently here, slower, more patient. He remembers the fireflies floating through the air like tiny pieces of light, how they blinked on and off like distant stars that had found their way down to earth. He remembers walking barefoot through the damp grass, listening to the sounds of the night, feeling the weight of the day finally lifting from his shoulders. And now, lying here in the quiet hush of the evening, all of those moments feel like soft echoes, gentle reminders that life does not always need to be loud or urgent to be meaningful. There is beauty in stillness. There is peace in slowness. There is comfort in simply being. And perhaps that is what makes this kind of night so special, not the absence of sound, not the lack of movement, but the presence of something deeper. Something quiet. Something grounding. Taro shifts slightly beneath the blanket, adjusting his position just enough to find perfect comfort. His eyelids are heavy now, his breathing slower, his body sinking deeper into relaxation. He lets out a soft sigh, a quiet sound of surrender, and allows himself to drift even further into the embrace of sleep. There is no rush here. There is no pressure. There is only this moment, this peaceful, unhurried moment, and the gentle understanding that tomorrow will come when it is ready. Outside, the moon continues its slow journey across the sky, casting its silver glow over the village, illuminating rooftops and narrow paths, making everything look like it belongs to a dream. The wind carries with it the faintest scent of pine and damp earth, brushing gently against the paper walls of the house. Inside, the lantern flickers softly before settling into a steady glow. The fire in the hearth burns low, sending out occasional crackles as if whispering stories only meant for those who have already begun to drift away. And as you listen to this story, perhaps your own thoughts are slowing down, becoming lighter, drifting away like clouds carried on a quiet breeze. Perhaps your body is relaxing, sinking deeper into comfort, your eyelids growing heavier with each passing moment. Because tonight, you don't need to do anything. Tonight, you simply need to be here, in this quiet moment, in this imagined world, where time moves slowly and everything feels just as it should. Let yourself stay here a little longer. In this peaceful home. In this forgotten time. Where nothing is urgent and everything feels okay. We'll continue walking alongside Taro soon, but for now, let your breath slow. Let your body relax. Let your thoughts drift. And if sleep finds you before we reach the end of this part, that's perfectly okay. Because the story will still be here tomorrow. And so will we. Part 5, Sleep Comes Gently. The night deepens now, stretching its quiet fingers through every corner of the village, wrapping everything in a stillness that feels both ancient and gentle. The sky above is dark but not empty, scattered with stars that blink softly like distant lanterns watching over the world below. The moon has moved further across the heavens, casting its silver glow over rooftops, fields, and winding paths, making everything look like it belongs to a dream. Inside the house, Taro lies beneath the warm blanket, his body sinking deeper into the softness of the straw mat beneath him. His breathing is slow and steady, each inhale and exhale carrying him further into the embrace of sleep. There is no urgency here, no need to chase time or thoughts. There is only this moment, this peaceful, unhurried moment, and the gentle understanding that tomorrow will come when it is ready. Outside, the wind moves gently through the trees, brushing against leaves, rustling branches, whispering secrets only the earth can understand. A few fireflies still float through the air, blinking on and off like tiny pieces of light that have found their way down from the sky. Somewhere nearby, a frog croaks once, then falls silent again, leaving behind only the soft hum of crickets calling to one another in the grass. It is the kind of night where even silence feels alive, not empty, not lonely, but full of something deeper. Something calm. Something whole. Taro's mind drifts now, slipping between memories like pages turning in a book that has no beginning and no end. He sees flashes of the day passing by, his bare feet touching the cool morning ground, the way the sun stretched across the rice paddies, the laughter of children playing near the stream, the quiet companionship of Haru working beside him. He remembers the scent of freshly steamed rice, the taste of pickled vegetables, the warmth of tea resting in his hands. He remembers the way the breeze felt against his skin, how the sky changed color throughout the day, how time seemed to move differently here, slower, more patient. And now, lying here in the quiet hush of the evening, all of those moments feel like soft echoes, gentle reminders that life does not always need to be loud or urgent to be meaningful. There is beauty in stillness. There is peace in slowness. There is comfort in simply being. His mother lies quietly on her sleeping mat, her breath soft and steady, her body relaxed beneath the warmth of her own blanket. She listens to the sounds of the night, the occasional creak of wooden beams settling into place, the faint murmur of voices from other homes in the village, the distant call of an owl echoing through the hills. She knows this kind of night well, the kind where the world slows down, where thoughts begin to loosen their grip, where sleep arrives not suddenly, but gently, like a wave rolling in beneath the moonlight. And outside, the village continues to rest beneath the cover of darkness. Smoke rises lazily from chimneys, disappearing into the cool air. Dogs curl up near their owners' doors, their breathing deep and steady. Children lie tucked beneath blankets, their dreams already unfolding in soft whispers behind closed eyes. Everything feels safe. Everything feels familiar. Everything feels okay. Taro shifts slightly beneath the blanket, adjusting his position just enough to find perfect comfort. His eyelids are heavy now, his breathing slower, his body sinking deeper into relaxation. He lets out a soft sigh, a quiet sound of surrender, and allows himself to drift even further into the embrace of sleep. There is no rush here. There is no pressure. There is only this moment, this peaceful, unhurried moment, and the gentle understanding that tomorrow will come when it is ready. Outside, the moon continues its slow journey across the sky, casting its silver glow over the village, illuminating rooftops and narrow paths, making everything look like it belongs to a dream. The wind carries with it the faintest scent of pine and damp earth, brushing gently against the paper walls of the house. Inside, the lantern flickers softly before settling into a steady glow. The fire in the hearth burns low, sending out occasional crackles as if whispering stories only meant for those who have already begun to drift away. And as you listen to this story, perhaps your own thoughts are slowing down, becoming lighter, drifting away like clouds carried on a quiet breeze. Perhaps your body is relaxing, sinking deeper into comfort, your eyelids growing heavier with each passing moment. Because tonight, you don't need to do anything. Tonight, you simply need to be here, in this quiet moment, in this imagined world, where time moves slowly and everything feels just as it should. Let yourself stay here a little longer. In this peaceful home. In this forgotten time. Where nothing is urgent and everything feels okay. We'll continue walking alongside Taro soon, but for now, let your breath slow. Let your body relax. Let your thoughts drift. And if sleep finds you before we reach the end of this part, that's perfectly okay. Because the story will still be here tomorrow. And so will we. The night continues to stretch its quiet arms across the village, wrapping everything in a hush that feels both deep and endless. The stars remain scattered across the sky like tiny lanterns, blinking gently as if watching over the world below. The moon has moved further now, casting its soft glow over rooftops and narrow paths, making everything look like it belongs to a dream. Inside the house, Taro lies still beneath the warm blanket, his body completely relaxed, his breathing slow and steady. He is no longer caught between waking and sleep, he has drifted fully into it, carried gently by the rhythm of the night. His mind no longer chases thoughts or memories. It simply lets them pass, like leaves floating down a quiet stream. Outside, the wind moves through the trees with a soft whisper, brushing against branches and rustling leaves in a way that feels almost like a lullaby. A few fireflies still float through the air, blinking on and off like distant stars that have found their way down to earth. Somewhere nearby, a frog croaks once, then falls silent again, leaving behind only the soft hum of crickets calling to one another in the grass. It is the kind of night where even silence feels alive, not empty, not lonely, but full of something deeper. Something calm. Something whole. Taro's dreams begin to unfold now, gentle and unspoken, painted in soft colors and quiet moments. He sees flashes of the morning, the way the sun stretched across the fields, the sound of the rooster calling the village awake, the smell of miso soup simmering over the hearth. He sees himself stepping outside barefoot, feeling the cool morning air kiss his skin, the way the world felt fresh and full of possibility. He walks through those memories now, not as someone remembering, but as someone living them again, only this time, they are slower, softer, more peaceful. There is no rush here. No need to move forward. Just the quiet joy of being present in a world that does not ask for anything more than your breath. His mother sleeps quietly beside him, her breathing deep and steady, her body wrapped in the warmth of her blanket. She listens to the sounds of the night, the occasional creak of wooden beams settling into place, the faint murmur of voices from other homes in the village, the distant call of an owl echoing through the hills. She knows this kind of night well, the kind where the world slows down, where thoughts begin to loosen their grip, where sleep arrives not suddenly, but gently, like a wave rolling in beneath the moonlight. And outside, the village continues to rest beneath the cover of darkness. Smoke rises lazily from chimneys, disappearing into the cool air. Dogs curl up near their owners' doors, their breathing deep and steady. Children lie tucked beneath blankets, their dreams already unfolding in soft whispers behind closed eyes. Everything feels safe. Everything feels familiar. Everything feels okay. Taro shifts slightly beneath the blanket, adjusting his position just enough to find perfect comfort. His eyelids are heavy now, his breathing slower, his body sinking deeper into relaxation. He lets out a soft sigh, a quiet sound of surrender, and allows himself to drift even further into the embrace of sleep. There is no rush here. There is no pressure. There is only this moment, this peaceful, unhurried moment, and the gentle understanding that tomorrow will come when it is ready. Outside, the moon continues its slow journey across the sky, casting its silver glow over the village, illuminating rooftops and narrow paths, making everything look like it belongs to a dream. The wind carries with it the faintest scent of pine and damp earth, brushing gently against the paper walls of the house. Inside, the lantern flickers softly before settling into a steady glow. The fire in the hearth burns low, sending out occasional crackles as if whispering stories only meant for those who have already begun to drift away. And as you listen to this story, perhaps your own thoughts are slowing down, becoming lighter, drifting away like clouds carried on a quiet breeze. Perhaps your body is relaxing, sinking deeper into comfort, your eyelids growing heavier with each passing moment. Because tonight, you don't need to do anything. Tonight, you simply need to be here, in this quiet moment, in this imagined world, where time moves slowly and everything feels just as it should. Let yourself stay here a little longer. In this peaceful home. In this forgotten time. Where nothing is urgent and everything feels okay. We'll continue walking alongside Taro soon, but for now, let your breath slow. Let your body relax. Let your thoughts drift. And if sleep finds you before we reach the end of this part, that's perfectly okay. Because the story will still be here tomorrow. And so will we. The night has settled fully now, stretching its quiet arms across the village and wrapping everything in a hush that feels both deep and endless. The stars remain scattered across the sky like tiny lanterns, blinking gently as if watching over the world below. The moon continues its slow journey across the heavens, casting its silver glow over rooftops, fields, and winding paths, making everything look like it belongs to a dream. Inside the house, Taro lies still beneath the warm blanket, his breathing slow and steady, his body completely relaxed. He is no longer caught between waking and sleep, he has drifted fully into it, carried gently by the rhythm of the night. His mind no longer chases thoughts or memories. It simply lets them pass, like leaves floating down a quiet stream. Outside, the wind moves through the trees with a soft whisper, brushing against branches and rustling leaves in a way that feels almost like a lullaby. A few fireflies still float through the air, blinking on and off like distant stars that have found their way down to earth. Somewhere nearby, a frog croaks once, then falls silent again, leaving behind only the soft hum of crickets calling to one another in the grass. It is the kind of night where even silence feels alive, not empty, not lonely, but full of something deeper. Something calm. Something whole. And as you listen to this story, perhaps your own thoughts are slowing down, becoming lighter, drifting away like clouds carried on a quiet breeze. Perhaps your body is relaxing, sinking deeper into comfort, your eyelids growing heavier with each passing moment. Because tonight, you don't need to do anything. Tonight, you simply need to be here, in this quiet moment, in this imagined world, where time moves slowly and everything feels just as it should. We've walked alongside Taro for a full day, from the first light of morning, all the way to the quiet hush of night. We've seen how life moved in feudal Japan, not through battles or drama, but through small, meaningful moments. Through the rhythm of work, the warmth of family, the beauty of nature, and the gentle understanding that sometimes the most important thing we can do is simply rest. You may not last a day in feudal Japan, not because it was dangerous, but because it asked for something different from you. It asked you to slow down, to listen, to notice the details, to live without rushing. And maybe that's what made it so peaceful.